John Wayne ate steak. Of course, before he ate steak, or anything else for that matter, he drank milk. All mammals do. Milk is, in fact, the only naturally occurring foodstuff on Earth that exists solely to feed. Think about it. The plants and animals we eat all have their own lives. And, well, honey, well, technically, that is a manufactured product. Milk, be it from cow, yak, donkey, goat, sheep, or human, is so chemically complex that scientists are still attempting to unravel its mysteries. Equally enigmatic is how we milk drinkers evolved the ability to digest milk beyond infancy, when most of the planet can't stomach the stuff.
Mr. Brown, this is the food police, and we know what you're drinking.
These days, milk even has a little bit of a controversy surrounding it. Stick with us, won't you? Because it's high time that we take a closer look at a food that has got more culinary power than a chicken egg. Milk, it's miraculous, not to mention. Our friends in the chopper are clearly mindful of the fact that although raw milk can be full of lovely flavor compounds, immunoglobulins, and digestive enzymes, it can also harbor salmonella, listeria, camelobacter, E. coli, and staphylococcus, which is probably why almost every state in the union has some kind of law restricting the sale of raw milk. And, well, it's not the cow's fault, believe me. It's just that the systems that get milk from moo to market are extremely complex. The fact that safe milk makes it to market at all is primarily due to the scientific advancements made by today's guest. Born in the Jura region of France in 1822, this chemist went on to become the father of bacteriology. He collects Bunsen burners, enjoys pina coladas, and walks on the Seine. Please welcome Louis Pasteur. Professor Pasteur proved that bacteria can be controlled with heat, and he developed a process for killing pathogens in sealed containers of liquid. Today, pasteurization is still...
Mr. Brown, you might as well give it up and come along peacefully.
Never! Milk from my own cow is protected under Section 256 of the Food Code.
And push the bucket in the
Oh,
bucket.
terrible, Professor. The food police... Gendarme de manger, no preparer. Say yeah! No, don't go out of there, Professor. Don't. They've got to...
What's with the silly
United
Frenchman?
and Franco-American relations aren't what they used to be.
Hey, boys!
It's going to leave a mark in the yard. Where were we? Oh, yeah, pasteurization. There are a lot of ways to do that. For instance, the milk can be heated under pressure, of course, to 145 degrees for half an hour, or 161 degrees for 15 seconds. In the UHT, or ultra-high temperature method, the top temperature is a whopping 280 degrees, but it is held there only for 2 seconds, and then it is rapidly chilled. Since time is money, faster methods mean cheaper milk prices. But I feel relatively certain that the low and slow method produces better flavor and body. But that's just me. Oh, the other process that most commercial milk goes through, homogenization. Coming! Back in the days when guys in white uniforms and funny hats used to deliver milk right to your door. Hiya, bud.
Mr. Brown.
Hey, see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Used to have to take the milk and give it a really, really good shake before you drank it. Why? I'll tell you. Take a really close look at a bottle of milk and lights. You'll find a temporary emulsion of fat globules in a water base. Now, since fat is less dense than water, it should float to the top. But the globettes are so tiny that by themselves, they do not possess the necessary lift. Luckily, there are special proteins that act like tugboats, shoving globules together into megablobs that, like a big bundle of balloons, have quite a bit of lift. This phenomenon is called creaming, and in modern milk, it is prevented via homogenization. The process is simple. By using high pressure to spray milk through a very tiny orifice, the fats are broken up into such tiny microglobules that they can never come back together again. The result? Stable, homogenized, and ever so slightly boring milk. Yeah. Now, because of its particular proteins, milk has actually been used as a paint base since, well, the days when cave walls stood in for canvas. I think it's better. Yeah. Cake and milk. I just don't know if there's a finer culinary combo on the face of the planet. In fact, that's about the only thing you could do to improve this scenario is... Yeah, that'll be good. Of course, there is luckily a neater and more flavorful way to pull this off. It is called tres leche cake or tres leches cake, and it is as North American as apple pie. Thing, clean up, aisle 2. Let's see here. Now, tres leche cake, or cake of 3 milks, has a fascinating history. And, well, here's what we know. The cuisines of colonial Central America, here we go, were heavily influenced by European baking and embraced soaked cakes like sopa dorada, a medieval classic containing toasted bread and enough wine to keep it from going bad for like 5 years. Fast forward to the mid-20th century. To help sell their products, a milk company in Mexico began printing traditional recipes on their cans of evaporated and sweetened condensed milk. One of the recipes is for pastel tres leche. It was an instant sensation, and in this kitchen, it still is. Oh yeah, let's dance. The final texture of this cake depends a great deal on baking to an even thickness, and that depends a great deal on your middle oven rack being level. Now, if you find that your rack is askew, just use a little aluminum foil wedge to set things as straight as possible. While you're here, set your controls for 350. Phase 1 of tres leche construction, make a sponge, or at least a cake that acts like a sponge, which is not to say that we are going to make ourselves a sponge cake. Start by creaming 1 stick of butter that is 4 ounces unsalted in your stand mixer. What do we mean by cream? Well, I mean beat this stuff until it basically resembles, I don't know, really thick mayonnaise. In the meantime, weigh out 6 3/4 ounces of cake flour. Add to that 1 teaspoon of baking powder and half a teaspoon of salt. Whisk to combine. That looks good. Now drop the speed to low and gradually sprinkle in 8 ounces of sugar. That's by weight, not volume. Should take about a minute to work this in. We really need each little sugar granule to punch a hole into the butter. If you rush this, the texture will be toast. There, that's what you want to see. Looks kind of like mashed potatoes. Next to the party, 5 eggs. Add 1 and then wait until you don't see it at all in the batter anymore before you introduce another. There, you want to create an emulsion, and so you have to do it slowly. Why so many eggs? Well, although they do contain fat, by and large, eggs are builders, strengtheners, because of protein, and we are definitely going to need that strength. You'll see why. Follow that with 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract. There. Time to add the dry goods. You want to do this in 3 installments with the speed low enough so that you don't, throw flour all over the room. Nice and slow, please. There. Kill the motor. Now it is time to pan up. Scoop your newborn goo into a well-lubed and floured 9 by 13 inch baking pan. Now, there's a lot of egg in here, so it is going to be very, very sticky. Once you've got that in, you'll want to smooth it out best you can so that it won't cook with a big old hump in the middle of it, which it will if you don't. I kind of like to spin the pan around as I go and just smooth it out. I like using a bowl scraper like this, but you can use just a plain old spatula if you want. There, I'll get that off, and and this is ready to go in the oven now. So here we go. And I know this doesn't look like enough batter for this pan, but keep in mind, there's more stuff going in here later on. There. Now, bake for 20 to 25 minutes or until the cake is lightly golden and reaches an internal temperature of 200 degrees Fahrenheit, my very favorite cake doneness. Meanwhile, we'll assemble the second tier software. This dessert may derive its body from cake, but its soul comes from tres leche, 3 forms of milk, 2 of which we find in the pantry. We require the services of 1 12-ounce can of evaporated milk and 1 14-ounce can of sweetened condensed milk. Notice that the smaller one is heavier. What's up with that? Well, both evaporated and sweetened condensed milks have had close to 60% of their moisture removed. Now, evaporated milk is reduced, it is homogenized, it has been fortified with various vitamins and minerals, and it is sealed and then sterilized, which is why it kind of has a brown color, that is caramelization. Sweetened condensed milk is reduced and then mixed with an almost equal portion of sugar. The resulting goo is so sugary that it doesn't have to be sterilized to be preserved. It does, however, have to be coaxed out of the can a little bit. There. Now, the third milk comes from the refrigerator. We need 1 cup of half and half. Now, a 10.5 to 18% butter fat, the half and half will not only provide additional liquid, it will also give us a nice, fresh, milky flavor that the canned milks just don't possess. So, stir this together and wait for your cake. Well, it certainly smells done, looks done, and feels done. And it attempts done. Now, it is imperative that this cake cools for 30 minutes on a rack before we move on to the next step. Grab yourself 4 skewers and prodigiously perforate. There. Now, we're ready to bring on the dairy goods. Just pour it on. It is going to look like it will not all fit, but it will. There. Now, obviously, trying to move this around at this point would be a bad idea. It's going to slosh all over the place. But wait about, 3 minutes, and it'll look like this. There. Pretty cool, huh? Of course, the cake has only partially absorbed the dairy to really take it in. Now, that's going to take a night in the cooler. It's the next day, and as you can see, no evidence of the milky mess remains. Time now for the final tres leche phase, the topping, which takes advantage of the curious fact that milk products containing between 30 and 40% butter fat, like heavy cream, can be whipped into a stable froth. That is, a big fat pile of bubbles. 2 cups of chilled heavy cream go in the work bowl of your favorite mixer, followed by 8 ounces, 1 cup of sugar, and a little vanilla extract. Let's say about a teaspoon. We'll just do that by eye. Stir this on low speed at first, or, well, you'll regret it. Yeah, when it gets kind of thick and frothy like that, go ahead and turn the speed up to the high side of medium. There. Now, after a few minutes, we'll check the peaks. The best way to do this, there. That's on the high side of medium. I'll definitely take that. It's better to underwhip a little than to overwhip. Perfect. There. Once you've got the whipped cream in place, you should refrigerate this 2 hours before serving. Not. Nope, we dig in right away. I will say this, if there do happen to be leftovers, and I'm not saying that there will be, you should cover this with plastic wrap before stowing, because cream loves to soak up refrigerator flavors. Now, excuse me. One of the unique aspects of milk is its sugar, lactose, a disaccharide or double sugar composed of 1 molecule each, glucose and galactose. Now, lactose is not as sweet as sucrose or table sugar, which can be a very good thing. For proof, we turn to another milky marvel from south of the border, dulce de leche, a.k.a. dulce de leche, which translates to milk jam. Dulce de leche probably evolved not as a confection, but as a way of preserving milk without refrigeration in tropical climes. 1 quart of whole milk goes into a large saucepan, which we will put to medium heat. There we go. Next, 12 ounces by weight, that's 1.5 cups of sugar, and 1 vanilla bean. Now, this guy we need to break in half or strip out and seed. You can do that with a knife, but I think it's a lot easier to do with one of these little multitaskers. This is called a bean frencher. We can just kind of stick that in one side and pull it out the other, and instantly we've got a nice split multi-piece vanilla bean. Stir until the sugar has melted. The sugar is dissolved, so we're ready for the secret ingredient. 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, which will increase the pH of the mixture. That will promote browning. It'll also prevent the whey proteins from coagulating and forming nasty little grit in the final product. Reduce the heat to low and cook uncovered for 1 hour, stirring occasionally. And don't be shocked if it foams up a little. That's just the soda. Time for the vanilla bean to leave the party. Cook it anymore and it'll start throwing out nasty flavors. Now we're going to continue to cook this for 1.5 to 2 more hours, or until the mixture reduces to a mere cup, that's right, a cup, and is the color of dark caramel. This looks good. Kill the heat. And just in case we've picked up any protein clumps, we will strain. And I like to put the strainer in this pot just to give it a little security. Got just a regular mason jar under there. Refrigerate for up to 4 weeks. Truth is, it'll keep a lot longer than it'll last, if you get my meaning. Dulce de leche appears in hundreds of Latin American desserts, such as alfajor, an Argentinian cookie, and teja, a Peruvian confection. But it's also great on ice cream, cake, or my favorite, spoon. It looks and feels a lot like caramel, but the flavor is more complex and the sweetness less overwhelming. Excuse me, I need a little private time. Since we have considered a culinary advantage of lactose, it's only right that we examine a curious biological disadvantage of issue. This bond holding the glucose and galactose molecules together. It is referred to as a beta-1,4 glycosidic linkage. Now, when we are babies, our intestines secrete an enzyme capable of breaking this bond, thus freeing the sugars. But only those of Northern European, Middle Eastern, Indian, and Maasai descent retain this enzyme into adulthood. Now, say hi to my cameraman, Ramon.
Hi.
Hey, Ramon.
Hi.
Now, here, I want you to taste our dulce de leche. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. How is it?
It's delicious.
Yeah.
I'm Lactose Man.
Why, look, everybody. It's Lactose Man. You remember Lactose Man, don't you? I bet you remember Lactose Man.
I'm not a doctor, but that had to hurt. I'm Lactose Man.
Yeah, you know, I'm betting that there is some either Southern European and/or Native American swimming around in Ramon's gene pool.
Oh, curse my multicultural heritage.
As the bacteria in Ramon's colon chow down on that lactose, considerable discomfort results, due in large part to the rapid accumulation of, well... Okay, people, let's clear this room! Little Miss Muffet sat on her tuffet, eating her curds and whey. Along came a spider and sat down beside her. And terrified little Miss Muffet beyond the boundaries of sanity. Look. The poor dear left her curds and whey, which is dang close to cottage cheese, which, besides being delicious, is a fine expression of milk's 2 proteins, casein and whey. Although, I'll admit I'm not a huge fan of skim milk, it does perform one particularly cool trick. Place a gallon of it in a large saucepan and put over medium heat until a reliable thermal guessing stick indicates a temperature of 120 degrees Fahrenheit. At that point, turn off the heat and stir in 3/4 of a cup of plain old white vinegar. In a couple of minutes, something strange and wonderful will happen. Given half an hour or so, this milk will indeed curdle as the casein separates from the water containing the milk's other protein, whey. When it does, drain the whole mass in a colander lined with a tea towel for 5 minutes. Then gather up the edges of the towel and rinse the curd under cold running water for 3 to 5 minutes, kneading the curd until it is nice and cool. Then just break it into little bits and pour on half a cup of half and half, sprinkle on a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half of kosher salt, and devour. I promise you, you'll never buy store-bought cottage cheese again. Well, you might, but you won't like it.